see your mother. You were only given one, go see your mother. And you know that you will never have another. Go see your mother. Go see your mom.
Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hey, sweetheart, I'm just putting on some tea myself. Put it in the microwave. I love these microwaves. 2-3 seconds, minutes, done.
So did you like the intro that I made?
Yes, I did. Except I don't look good.
You look beautifully, Ima. You look fantastic. I think it was great. I think it was fantastic. Don't be so self-conscious about it. Don't beat yourself up.
I'm gonna shade up on makeup, and I still don't look that great.
Don't worry, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. Please don't kill yourself over this. So we were going to talk about this week's about getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. What was it like getting ready for Rosh Hashanah when you were a kid?
We weren't religious. I mean, but we knew we took Rosh. Most Jews will take Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur seriously. In fact, there are many Jews where it's the only time they go to shul. It's Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We didn't have like a big festive family meal. I mean, we went to shul, but my father didn't make kiddush, and we didn't have a big festive meal. My mother lit candles. I mean, we didn't go shopping or to school or anything like that. That part we took very, very seriously. But we really, what I like about being from is that it's a whole family thing. I mean, the family comes over. You have kiddush, you have the and honey and the apple. You have like a whole festive meal with customs. Like I never knew about eating the head of a fish until I became from. You had the fish, dipping the apple in the honey, that type of thing. Saying the special brachas. One thing I did do when I was one thing I did this year, I bought a can of black-eyed peas for tomorrow night.
Yeah, because Tati doesn't like them or didn't like them.
Well, no, the thing is, I didn't know until your father and I went to Israel. I didn't know that eating black-eyed peas is supposed to be one of the ceremonial foods.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was never taught that. And we went to Israel. That's when we stayed at this hotel where Rosh Hashanah, they had like a big, table full of all the ceremonial foods. I'm looking. I see kale and black-eyed peas. I said, "Your father, what? Man, that's soul food." I mean, especially from Baltimore, we know about that. But and I asked an Israeli lady who works at our school about it. She goes, "Oh yeah, because you're supposed to also eat black-eyed peas." Well, your father said the reason he never liked black-eyed peas was because he says they're looking at him.
They're always looking at him.
Yeah. It's the same reason for eating the head of a fish. Like the eye of a fish is always open, that your eye should always be opened, that type of thing.
So I guess was there ever a time that you didn't celebrate Rosh Hashanah?
No, not really. As a matter of fact, even during my atheist years, what happened was I was working at Burger King, and the owner like kind of convinced me to come to work on Rosh Hashanah. What happened was the day before Rosh Hashanah, I couldn't do it. Even though I was, I wasn't religious, I was very atheistic, whatever. There was something about me that I said, I can't do it. And I called him up, I said, "I'm sorry." I said, "I can't do it. I can't come into work tomorrow." That's it. Even as non-religious and anti-religious as I was, somehow there was something about Rosh Hashanah that I just couldn't do it. I had a certain feeling. I was noticing something too, that even before I became religious, there was something about the month of Elul and Tishrei that I felt like a certain seriousness about the air, about the milieu, about the environment. I don't know that I picked up. I guess I picked up like when there were certain vibes that I kind of picked up on, like the seriousness of that time of the year. I couldn't put my finger on it. All I knew was that I felt like a certain tension that something serious was in the air.
Yeah, there's definitely something like that I feel now where like there's definitely a feeling of stress, like a level of stress and concern and worry.
Yeah.
That's what I feel right now, concern and worry. But like I always think because last year I remember it was during Rosh Hashanah, and there's a custom not to sleep excessively on Rosh Hashanah and
Yeah.
to say Tehillim. And I said Tehillim, but I didn't say it as much as I wanted to, and I took a nap. And I was very upset with myself that I did that. And it's interesting because of everything that happened over the year, I took it upon myself to say Tehillim, the whole Sefer Tehillim on Shabbos this year until, this campaign in Gaza ends. And I've been saying it the whole freaking time. So it's kind of this weird, ironic thing of like, I was upset that I didn't say enough Tehillim, and then sure enough, I'm saying more Tehillim now than I have in a while. So it's just like this feeling where it's just like, you want to kind of have a good year. You want to have a solid, meaningful time. And I think for me, it's like, I really hope that it helps start off this next year, in a positive light.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any feelings like that when you were doing anything over the time during Rosh Hashanah?
That's I remember my sisters and I, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, going shul hopping.
Okay.
When we were younger, we went to, there was an area of Baltimore City at that time, but the old Bet Tefillah was there on Garrison Boulevard, and you had the shul, I think it was called Sheriff Tefillah on Uncle Charlie Terrace. It's that old shul with the dome on top. It's down.
Oh yeah, they turned that
around Drewville
into
Park, and we oh boy did we walked there. We walked there. We walked all around to all these different shows. We went to the reservoir. We remember in Hebrew school studying about Tashlech, but we never learned the prayer. We just learned about the practice that you're supposed to go to a body of water and throw your sins into the water. So I remember walking down to the Baltimore City Reservoir that was around Druid Hill Park, and we just walked around the reservoir, and then continued on our way. I didn't know at the time that there were special prayers you're supposed to say.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that. I think we mentioned that.
Right.
What was it like in Crown Heights though, in the times of the Bab Rebbe, like during Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur time?
That was very special. Well, before I came to Crown Heights, I understand the Rebbe used to lead an entire entourage down Eastern Parkway, and they would go to the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, where there was I think a pond or a lake or something. And one time, there's a story that one time the Rebbe went there with his entourage, and the gate was locked. The gate was closed and locked, and the Rebbe and his entourage just climbed over the gate.
Wow.
And went into Tashlech. Now, by the time I was there in Crown Heights, there was a small pond that they had constructed behind 770.
Yeah,
you heard of it?
I don't. I saw it. I saw it. I know what you're talking about.
So me and some friends went there one time, and it was the Rosh Hashanah before your father and I got married. Actually, he and I still were not dating yet, and so I went there to do Tashlech, and there were some of my friends were around me, some of my women friends, and the Rebbe had come out of 770, was walking down Eastern Parkway. And so some of the women said, oh, we can, get a glimpse of the Rebbe as he goes like between the house, between 770 and the next house, there's like, there's a space. So we said, we can watch the Rebbe walk past. So I'm standing there, we're watching the Rebbe walk past, and he turned around and he looked right at my direction. And this woman standing next to me said to me, hey, he looked right at you. I go, oh no, he looked at you. She goes, no, he looked at you.
Very
And
cute.
that was the Rosh Hashanah before your father and I got married.
Did you ever have like get lekach before Yom Kippur?
Yes, thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, I remember. Well, I remember going to this Rebbe Sukkah in front of 770 and him passing out lekach. I remember getting that. And I remember what they would do is we would also get lekach sent to Baltimore from the Rebbe, and the custom was to take the lekach and to like break it up and to bake it into a larger honey cake and to serve it.
So what about when you were in Mechon Chana? You there?
Yeah, the phone dropped.
Oh, okay. What about when you were in Mechon Chana, and I guess it was your first real time experiencing Rosh Hashanah in a Hasidic manner? Can you tell me more about like that experience?
Gosh, oh, you know something? I was impressed with the, like I said, dipping the apple in the honey, and but oh gosh, all I can remember about that was not Rosh Hashanah, but my first sukkahs when they were serving chicken, and I took the honey and poured it on the chicken, and the New Yorkers all went. I mean, I never realized how Southern I really was until I poured honey on the chicken.
It's funny you say that because I remember my first time like hanging out with New Yorkers when I was in 6th grade in Parksville, and I kept on hearing everyone say briefcase when they mean knapsack. And it just like threw me off for a second.
Yeah, well, I briefly dated a gentleman from New York when I was like 19, 20 years old. And when I came to visit, he invited me to come visit him in New York and stay by him and his mother. And I remember when I got off the train, he said, "Let me help you with your valise."
The lease, what's that?
Valise. I said, "My what?" "Suitcase." "Valise." Your valise.
Your valise, your valise. Did you?
What do you mean my suitcase?
I'm curious, but did you ever have like you got dollars from the Rebbe, right?
Yes. Yes, we did.
Did you ever have any significant experience talking to him, or it was just more one of those like tia bruch tia kind of thing?
Yeah, like Hatzlacha Rabba, Hatzlacha Rabba, Hatzlacha Rabba, give you the dollar, say Hatzlacha Rabba. And I regret that especially the first couple of years I was in Crown Heights, I regret that I didn't totally understand the significance of it, that you're supposed to write the date on the dollar and save it and then take one of your own dollars and put it in tzedakah.
So you gave the original dollar to tzedakah, or what did you do?
Yeah, I think that's what I did a few times before I realized that you're supposed to keep it. It was, nothing was explained to me at the time. And I know there were several dollars, I think that I actually, put in tzedakah and didn't, didn't save until I realized. And I'm sorry that I did that I didn't, totally understand the significance of it.
In my opinion, that's what kind of adds to the flavor of something being so important. It's like one of the things halavai, really, but with Pokemon cards is the reason why the first generation so valuable is because people didn't realize how valuable it really would be. So you had all these cards people had that they would treat very badly or just destroy or get rid of,
That's like baseball cards too. Your father was very upset. Your father, looking back, was very upset. When he was a little boy, he had like a whole, collection of baseball cards. And his mother was cleaning the house and we, threw them out. And who knows what they would have been worth in the future.
It's funny you say that because I keep on thinking of all the other things he collected and how much of it I had to throw in the trash, or I wound up like it being worthless, or the value it had was not as significant as I thought.
Yeah.
So like whatever, it is what it is. It's just people, like for me personally, I just enjoy collecting things. I have certain things that I collect and that's it. I'm not gonna like make a big stink about it or feel like, oh, this is gonna be my retirement. Like, no, it's just fun little things that I enjoy collecting. If it has any value to it, okay. If it doesn't, okay, it doesn't. Did you collect anything?
Trying to think if I tried. I tried collecting some coins, but they weren't really worth that much. One coin I had was, your father had a Chinese coins from World War II, and he told me it was worth all of the penny. It really wasn't worth that much.
So Chinese coins from World War II. I'm curious now.
I don't know. It was I forgot which one it was. And
Okay.
other than that,
I see.
every time I tried some sort of collection, it never, it never, it never took off. Wound up being thrown out or destroyed, or
Did you have any hobbies that you kind of stopped and never picked up again?
yeah, kids go through that all the time. My chemistry set that eventually I just forgot about, and the stuff on it just rotted out. Then there was what other type of crazy hobbies? I tried. Oh, I wanted to get, it was called a class 3 license in radio, and buy a ham radio set. And I got the book. I sent away for the book to study for the class 3 test, and I studied the information and just forgot it. Never took the test, but I did learn quite a few things from it. I learned how to do SOS and Morse code. I learned Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. If you're flying and you get into trouble, you say Mayday. That I learned. I also learned that, well, I learned from a couple of friends of mine who were in radio, that evidently if you have more than, I think it's 2 minutes of what's called dead air, you can be fined by the FCC. You're not allowed to have any more than maybe 3 minutes at the most of dead air. And you got to put something up there. You got to put a promo. You've got to put a recording. You got to put something up there, some sort of sound. There has to be some sort of sound there. You cannot have any more than, like I said, 2 or 3 minutes of dead air.
Interesting. Because
I'm seeing. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm seeing now you can actually use you could do ham radio online.
It's very different now. It's like in my day, there was a boy in our neighborhood who had a ham radio set.
Yeah.
And it was big. It was big with a microphone. You might have seen, like, there was one movie I saw when I was a kid. I think the movie was made somewhere between the late 40s, early 50s, about this teenage boy that had a ham radio set. And that's what this friend of mine's ham radio set looked like. It was a big thing, big radio. It took up an entire desk, and it had a handheld, like a microphone that you held. Then many years ago in our neighborhood, it was during the 1980s. I met a gentleman who had a ham radio set, and he showed me what it looked like. He was carrying it. He goes, "This is it. It looks like one of the it looks like a remote control thing that we use for television, or that we use for TV now. Remote control. That was the size of it." I go, "That's a ham radio set?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "That's what they look like now." This was during the late 1980s, 90s. As a matter of fact, with his ham radio set, he had actually gotten some emergency help for this train. It was very sad. There was a train that was traveling, I think it was west towards it was in the northern part of Maryland, and it got into a horrible crash. And so he was working on he had his ham radio with him, and was talking to somebody, and heard about the crash firsthand, and he was able to call the rescue authorities and let them know that this happened. And he said they were able to get there sooner because he got the information first from somebody that was there. It was somebody that was there that saw the crash, that was also on his ham radio, and told him about it.
Were there any what made you
being able to talk to people around the world? In those days, like today, you can just get on the internet and communicate with people everywhere now. But in those days, the only way you could, there were long distance phone calls, but they were very difficult and very expensive. And you had to go to the operator. The operator had to connect you. And I told you about that when I was in Israel, just calling back in 1973, just calling the United States. What you had to do, go to the, like I said, go to the post office where they had these booths, and you came to the clerk, and you told your clerk, gave the clerk the number, and then he gave you the number. Told you to sit down, and then like 20 minutes later, he would call your number. He would call you and tell you, go to booth number 3, or go to booth number 4, or booth number 5. and you would go to booth number 345, and it was $10 for 3 minutes. But with a ham radio set, you could talk to other ham radio operators anywhere in the world.
So do you do anything like that now? Do you talk to anybody online now on that caliber?
Some friends in Israel that occasionally, will message me and I'll message them back. See how they're doing.
What about talking to strangers online?
I don't talk to strangers online.
So you wanted to do a ham radio at like what age? 16? And then now you're 39 and talking to not wanting to talk to strangers. So what other hobbies did you want to try and you just failed at?
All I know is every now and then I get a request on Facebook, such and such wants to be friends with you. Who the heck is this? I mean, someone who I don't know, don't recognize their name. I have no idea who they are.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. It's just, was there any other hobbies that you got into, or any other hobbies that Tati got into and then kind of stopped or whatnot? I know he was into models.
He had coin collection. Oh yeah, he built those beautiful model ships. He was very creative. He was very artistic. He should have really kept it up. I saw him one time drawing, doodling, and I said to him, "Wow!" I said, "You've got a talent." And you're yeah, just brushed it off. What cat? Oh, you want to be involved in the conversation? Yes.
Little kitty.
Yeah, she always does. She does this when I'm doing two. The other day I was trying to fill out my vote by mail.
Yeah.
Here in Florida, you can vote by mail, and I'm filling it out. And I thought, that's all I need is this cat to bump my hand, and I vote for the wrong person. I had to fill it out when she was out of the room.
So, I guess when it came to Rosh Hashanah, did you ever have a moving Rosh Hashanah, or it was always mechanical?
Before I became religious, it was more it was kind of it was kind of mechanical. Being by the Rebbe on Rosh Hashanah was very special. When Rosh Hashanah started, when you heard 1,000 men at 770 all singing together Avinu Malkeinu, that was very powerful. What was I about to say? Oh, darn, there was something I thought. Oh, a couple funny things about the high holidays. When I was in my atheistic years, I was doing a lot of interdating. Yeah. And so my mother, in those days, the Reform temples used to have a Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur service at Goucher for college students. So my mother sends me off in hopes of me, you're in college, you're young, you're single, and you don't go to shul to daven or you don't go to these religious places to daven. You go to check out the guys, eat somebody. Come on, that's the real motivation. So I go there, and there's this really nice guy sitting next to me, and we get into a conversation. Real nice guy, whatever. Turns out he's Presbyterian. I come back. My mother says to me, "Did you meet someone?" I said, "Yes, I met a very nice young man sitting right next to me during services. He's Presbyterian." And my mother goes, "I don't believe it. I send you to a Jewish place to daven, and you meet a Goyish guy there."
Didn't you have another story about dating that
boyfriend of Yom Kippur?
No, but please tell me that.
Oh, he wanted to spend Yom Kippur with me to see what it was like to fast for 24 hours. He wanted to really see. He went to these services with me, the college services. And what can I say? The whole day, I'm dying. How do you do this every year? I'm dying the whole time. He couldn't stand it.
So I was talking about another time you were dating somebody, and I don't want to ruin the punchline. So hopefully you could take the hint of when we talked about this earlier this week, or was it last week? We were talking about you you dating somebody and doing Jewish geography.
Oh gosh,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
trying to think. Oh, that was when I was in high school. This
Yeah.
boy called me up and invited me out. And we're talking about our families. And he mentioned about his Aunt Celie, who lived in Los Angeles. I said, oh, that's interesting. I also have an Aunt Celie who lives in Los Angeles. And then he mentioned another one of his relatives who was I said, oh yeah, I also have a cousin by that name. So he goes, all of a sudden I hear him say, hold the line. I hear him in the background going, Ma, am I related to Charlene Dickman? And it turned out it was Machatanista. It was no blood relation. It was
Through
related
marriage.
by marriage. Yeah.
But that's pretty hilarious when it comes
Yeah.
to Jewish geography.
Although the joke in Baltimore was that the Baltimore Jewish community was that everybody was somehow related.
We had that growing up, but it wasn't that everyone was so related. It was just that everybody was dating everybody. In my early 20s, the Baltimore Jewish community, it was just that everyone dated everybody, and like you just kind of like assumed like that was kind of the thing because it was like a. But yeah, I'm just looking back at like my Rosh Hashanahs that I had, and I don't know, I feel like I'm trying to really concentrate and really try very hard to have a meaningful Rosh Hashanah, and I can't help but feel some layer of like dread, and it's just like I can't shake it, and I just don't know. I don't know what it is because
well, there's a lot that's going on in the world right now.
yeah, no, I know there's a lot. It's weird, Like I got messages like from today with what happened in Iran to attacking Israel. I got messages from friends of mine. Like they're like in the bunkers. They're like, we're okay, everything is fine. Another friend was like, his house got hit and things like that. Just like there was just a lot. Luckily, it's just physical damage. It's not, people.
Yeah, I feel guilty in a way living in the United States because, our fellow Jews are in Israel. They're slugging it out there.
Yeah.
They are they're really slugging it out. They're on the front lines, and and we're here, and
yeah, there's definitely a survivor. I definitely feel guilty being here.
Yeah.
I feel that a lot. And I think like whenever things like this happen, I always get so frustrated because I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to try to like, help, and I do that as much as I mentally and physically and monetarily can. But it's just I feel like there's always more to do, and I don't think I'm doing enough.
Well, I said, I told somebody said, you're going to go to Israel, volunteer, whatever. I said, look, it's not like I'm a young, very strong and, strong person. Like I said, I'm better off davening here and, saying them and davening and sending money.
Yeah.
Than going over there and being, a burden to the country.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But on another note, on a lighter note, I was thinking about my bubby every year for Rosh Hashanah would make teglach.
What's that?
Everyone asks me that. I haven't seen it recently. I think they phased it out, but it used to be a Rosh Hashanah custom. What it is, okay, you take a big vat or a very big pot of honey, and you boil the honey. You take these balls of dough, like my bubby used to do. She would take like challah dough, you might say, and she would tie it in a knot, like a ball. It was tied in a knot before it was formed into a ball. Have you ever done that? You take like a long like string or something, or piece of clay that's, like when you were a kid, you rolled out a piece of clay and then you tied it into a knot and balled it up. So it has like a pattern on it, but it's a ball.
I think so.
Anyway, so that's what she would do. You take this dough and you put it in the pot of honey, of boiling honey. Then it cools off, and you eat, it cools off and you eat it. Well, God, let's put it this way. Be prepared to break your teeth. It was so hard. This teglach. Now in the bakeries, When I saw Takeoff one day in a bakery many years ago. That'd be during the 1980s. Was the last time I saw it. And this bakery, instead of having it in like these nice little knotted balls, like my bubby used to make it, they had just plain pieces of dough. It was almost like teeny rectangular pieces of dough. And that's what they did with it. And it's just, I don't know, I tell you the truth, I ate it. It's very hard, but I don't remember it being really that tasty.
So did you ever have your own special Rosh Hashanah dish that you would make when you were younger, or like you developed over the years?
I'm trying to think. My fish head that would freak out your father.
Yeah, he wasn't too keen on fish heads.
He would chicken out by buying what is it, those
jellyfish,
jelly beans, just taking off the tail. In fact, 7 Mile Market, I don't know if they still do, they would sit when they had those big vats of loose candy that you could put in bags and buy.
Yeah.
For Rosh Hashanah time, they would have the tails removed of the jellyfish. The jelly bean fishes,
Yeah.
And I remember your father, though, when I wanted the real thing. And your father would tell me, take it down to the end of the table and you sit there with that. Just don't bring it near me. But I know there's some people that have the custom of serving the head. I think it's the head of a lamb.
I think so, yeah. I think it is, yeah.
Like a whole head of a lamb. I'll put on the table.
Would you
try? I gotta try that.
I was gonna say, like, what if you always wanted to try
the head of the lamb?
Head of the lamb.
But then again, my culinary tastes are kind of on the strange side. Chicken feet.
Well, that's always fun, to be honest. It's always nice to try weird things or try different stuff.
And the one thing that I wanted to try in Israel that was on the menu, but they didn't have.
Oh yeah, bull testicles. Yes.
Let's put it this way: it was a Yemenite restaurant. For those of our listeners that are wondering what it was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's why I always think it's so wild when it comes to there's different stuff, different food people consume. That's why I want to try locusts. I haven't got around to finding a kosher locust, but I when I was in Israel last time, I was looking all over for it.
Were there any supported places that served kosher locusts or no?
No, because most people consider it disgusting, so they don't really focus on it. So they're not really gonna do it. And the ones that do eat it aren't gonna be very open about saying that they do. So it was very hard to do it. And somebody said oh, try Beersheba, but it was all the way out in the desert, and I wasn't gonna go use a whole day of just traveling. Because I traveled certain places and went to certain spots and and asked certain people, and they're like, oh, try this place, oh, try that place. I kept on hopping and I just couldn't find it. I just was like, all right, I'll take care of it some other time, if at all, But what was the most exotic thing you ever eaten?
Before or after I became from?
Both.
Well, before I became from, there was that octopus that I ate in Italy.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't realize this, though. I was looking on YouTube, had a thing about strange dishes that you should try to avoid or be cautious about. And they said, they named octopus. And they said the problem with octopus is that there were suction cups that a lot of octopi have on their tentacles, whatever. And people have been known, these suction cups have been known to stick to the esophagus. Cause real problems. Yeah,
that's probably if it's alive or you eat it raw.
Yeah. Well, this was a baby octopus. It was very small. It was a small baby octopus. It was pickled.
You ate a baby
octopus. It was pickled. I'm trying to think if I've eaten anything else that's exotic since becoming from. Dolmades are nice. I like them. The grape leaves. The stuffed grape leaves, that's nice. That's exotic. I like that. It's kind of exotic. Trying to think what else that you would call exotic. I don't know. I've always liked chicken livers. I always like chicken livers. Just regular, Just whole chicken livers.
Were you ever able to convince Tati to eat anything that you wanted to try? No.
In fact, when I like the appearance. I like when I make a fish, I like to make the whole fish, head and everything. I think it's beautiful. Put olive oil on it, and garnish it with parsley and stuff. Stuff it with with parsley and garlic and onions inside the fish, and put like paprika, lots of spices on it. I think it's very pretty to put a whole fish at the table. And your brother was like, I can't eat it, just looking at me.
I get it.
What else? Oh, when I was a kid, I used to eat chicken hearts.
Really?
Yeah, and I know it says in the Shulchan Aruch that you shouldn't. It can make you forgetful. And I remember my bubby seeing me eating a chicken heart when I was a little kid, and she mentioned to my mother, like, hey.
Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Please comment and subscribe on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Instagram. I would greatly appreciate it, and my mother would too.